Okay, hello grade 10s. As you guys know, we are busy with debtors control and debtors allowances. Okay, and I'm going to do an example which involves both. So we've done debtors control, we've done selling goods on credit. The only new thing is with debtors allowances, and I'm going to go through a whole example which touches on the general ledger, the different debtors ledgers, and posting a debtors list. Okay, so we're going to go through the transactions, and what I suggest that you guys do is have two highlighters for this example. So we only have two debtors here, so we only have to deal with two highlighters. So if there's three debtors, then use three highlighters, just so that you guys can keep track of every single debtor's transactions. Okay, so the example is on page 105, so you can follow in your book, but I am going to upload it onto Teams so that you guys can follow if you don't have your books, if you didn't collect them. Okay, so the example says Hoyson Stores sells for cash and on credit. On March 2001, the balances of their two debtors are as follows. So we've got M. Martino, and his balance is 300 Rand. And we've got O. Crevitt, and his balance is 200 Rand. Okay, so these are the amounts that those debtors owe from the previous month, so from February. So then they say the other balances and totals on the 1st of March are as follows, and they give us the balances for the 1st of March, which you guys are already comfortable with. Okay, so let's go through the transactions. So the first one says the 5th sold merchandise on credit. Okay, that's our first clue when they say on credit. So then we already know that it was sold on credit to O. Crevitt. So that was pink. So we highlight O. Crevitt for 460 Rand. So he bought merchandise for 460 Rand on credit, as per invoice number BQ12. So that's also another guide as to whether it's on credit or cash, is if they say invoice number, then that's on credit. So remember, when it's sold for cash, then it's a receipt. Okay, and where's this going to go? It's going to go in my debtors journal. Okay, the 7th, O. Crevitt, so that was pink, complained about the quality of some of the goods supplied to him on the 5th. Okay, so the goods that were supplied to him on the 5th, he's now complaining about them, and he's now sent us a debit note. We've approved his debit note, and now we've sent him a credit note for 80 Rand. Was issued to him for the goods returned. Okay, so he returned goods, and we gave him an allowance of 80 Rand. So this goes in the DAJ. So the debtors allowances journal. So remember, if we sell goods on credit, it goes into our debtors journal, and that's where we keep track of all the goods sold on credit. If goods are returned or an allowance is given, then that goes into our debtors allowances journal. Then on the 12th, it says sent invoice. So there's our first clue to M. Martino for goods. So we already know that it's on credit, which he bought on credit from Hoyson Stores for 900 Rand. So this goes in the DJ. Okay. Then the 15th, M. Martino complained that he was overcharged by 40 Rand on the invoice number BQ13. So on this invoice, he says he was overcharged by 40 Rand. So a credit note for the amount was sent to him. So because they said it was a credit note, we know it's going to go into the DAJ. And this makes sense because we're giving him an allowance of 40 Rand because we overcharged him. So he doesn't owe us that 40 Rand anymore. We have to give it back to him, because otherwise, if it comes to his ledger, then it's going to say that he owes us 40 Rand where he doesn't. Okay, so the 24th, supplied merchandise to M. Martino for 1,200 Rand. Okay, so this is with M. Martino. A cash sales slip for half the amount was issued to him. Okay, so that cash sales slip automatically tells me that I sold goods to him for cash, which means it's going into my CRJ, which I'm sure you guys remember. Then it says a credit invoice for the remainder was issued. So half of it he paid for cash and half of it he paid on credit. Okay, so this part will go on the DJ. So how much is going in the CRJ and how much is going in the DJ? So he said half was paid on cash, so half of 1,200 is 600, and half of the 1,200 will go to the DJ, which is 600 as well. So I write that there for me so that I know. And also just to keep in mind with your cost price, it's also going to be split in half, so it's going to be 450 each. Okay, the 28th, issued invoice. So there's our invoice, so we know it's on credit. BQ15 to OCredit, together with merchandise of 580. So that sentence is just telling me that I sent him an invoice for the merchandise of 580 Rand. So this goes in my DJ. Then the 29th, OCredit sent back goods which he had not ordered. Okay, so he paid for goods, and when he got the order, so the trading stock on credit, then he realized that there were some things that we sent him that he didn't order. So he paid for more than what he was supposed to. So he's sending those goods back. So only 120 Rand of goods are sent back. So that goes in my DAJ because an allowance was given to him. So he doesn't owe us for that 120 Rand because he didn't order it. Okay, and he sent back the goods. All right. So now that we've got for each one where it's supposed to go, let's go through them and post them to the journals. Okay, so the 5th, so here's my journals, my 2 journals. Okay, I've got my debtors journal over here and my debtors allowances journal over there. Okay, here we go. Okay, so the 5th, we said is going to go in our DJ. So our invoice number, so we look for our invoice number, which is BQ12. So invoice number BQ12, the day is the 5th. My debtor was OCredit. Okay, then how much did I sell it for? It was 460, and I have to record the cost price as of 345 because this column in your debtors journal will tell you how much trading stock was sold on credit. So this will tell us how much stock was sold on credit, just like you had the one in the CRJ, which told you how much stock was sold for cash. Okay, so the next one, we said it was going to go into the DAJ. So I go to my DAJ, credit note number, I look for it, and it says C12. So C12, the day was the 7th. My debtor is OCredit. Okay, how much am I allowing him? So it says credit note for 80 Rand. So 80 Rand, and then was goods returned. Okay, so goods were returned, so we do have to put in the cost of sales column. Okay, because it's trading stock that has been returned. So I look how much was my cost price, that was 60 Rand. Okay, then my third one, so on the 12th, we said it's going to go into the DJ because goods were sold on credit. Alright, so my invoice number, it says it's BQ13, but if it doesn't tell me, these invoice numbers do have to go in order. So BQ13, the day is the 12th, my debtor is M. Martino. Okay, sold for 900 Rand, and my cost of sales is 675. Okay, the 15th, M. Martino, it goes in the DAJ. So what is my credit note number? It doesn't tell me, so remember this is the invoice number that he's returning. Okay, so the credit note number, it doesn't tell me in the sentence, but I know it needs to go in order. So it will be C13. On the 15th, my debtor is M. Martino. And we giving him an allowance of 40 Rand. Now let me check if I need to post the cost of sales column. So he complained he was overcharged. Okay, so it doesn't say that goods were returned, so I don't put it in the cost of sales account because trading stock wasn't returned. Okay, so you can put a note there and say goods not returned if you want to, just so that when you look back on it then you know what happened there. Okay, then on the 24th, supplied merchandise to M. Martino. We said half of it's going to go in the CRJ. We don't have a CRJ here, but if you did, then you would have posted it there. And the other half goes into the DJ. So my credit invoice number is BQ12. BQ14, I mean. The day is the 24th. My debtor was M. Martino. And only half is going into the DJ, which we said was 600. And then the cost of sales was only half as well, which was 450. Okay. The 28th, we said is going in the DJ. So it's BQ15. The day is the 28th. My debtor is O. Crevet. I sold goods for 580 Rand and my cost price is 435. And the last one, so O. Crevet sent back goods and we said it's going to go in the DAJ. Okay, it doesn't give us my credit note, but I know it's going to go in order. So my day is the 29th. O. Crevet, I'm allowing him 120. And all goods returned, so it says send back goods. So I do need to post into the cost of sales. So that they said was 90 Rand. Okay, then I just take my journals and I add up the totals. So for sales, 460 plus 900 plus 600 plus 580. So that is 2,540. So I know I made an income of selling goods for 2,540. Then I look at my cost of sales. And that gives me a total of 1,905 Rand. So I know that I sold goods on credit for 1,905 Rand. Okay, so the worth of those goods that were sold. Then my debtors allowances. So that's 240, and my cost of sales 150. So this column tells me what my worth of my trading stock was that I got that returned. Because remember, we always record trading stock at cost price. Okay, then let's start with our general ledger. Okay. So the first account I'm dealing with is trading stock. So my trading stock is an asset, which I'm sure you guys know by now, which means it increases on the debit and decreases on the credit side. Okay. So if I look at my trading stock and I first see what happened to my trading stock. So the first thing is I need to check my balance brought down. So my balance brought down is 9,600. Okay. Is it going to go on the debit side or the credit side? So obviously if stock is left over, it's going to increase my trading stock. So it's going to go on the debit side. So I say 2001, March, the first balance brought down of 9,600. Okay. And now I look what all happened with my trading stock. So first I sold trading stock on credit. So if I sell trading stock on credit, is that decreasing my trading stock or increasing my trading stock? So I'm getting rid of my trading stock, so it's going to go onto the credit side because it's decreasing. So on the 2001 March, okay, what's my day going to be? So my cost of sales column, because obviously this is the trading stock, the worth of the trading stock that was sold, it's got its own column. So it's going to be on the 31st. Okay, what is my contra account? It's cost of sales. And this was taken from my debtors journal for 1,905. Okay, then I look at my other journal. What happened in this journal is that trading stock was returned. So is my trading stock increasing or decreasing? It's increasing because I'm getting that trading stock back. So on 2001 March 31st, because it has its own column, what's my contra account is cost of sales. And where's this coming from? It's my DAJ. And how much is it worth? 150 Rand. Okay, now I check, is there anything else that was done with my trading stock? Now I don't have my CRJ here, but if you guys remember, we sold trading stock for 600 Rand. That would have gone into our CRJ, but we just don't have the journal with us. Okay, so I still need to put this in. So is it increasing or decreasing my trading stock? So I'm selling goods for cash, so it's decreasing my trading stock. And in your CRJ, remember, you've got a sales column or cost of sales column. So this will be on the 31st still. It will be cost of sales, because this is trading stock that I'm selling for cash. Okay, this is in the CRJ. And how much it was? Not 600, because that was the selling price. What was my cost price? Because remember, trading stock is always recorded at cost price. So it's 450. 450. Okay, then I just make sure is that everything that included trading stock. So I've done my 2 journals and I had my CRJ transaction. So this is it. So now all I do is balance. Okay. If you guys are still confused about balancing, please let me know, because you guys should be fine with this by now. Sorry, I don't have a ruler. Okay, so I check which side is the most. So this side will add up to 9,600 plus 150, so that's 9,750. This side will add up to 2,355. So I know that this side is more. So I put that total down, which was 9,750. And I want both sides to be 9,750. So this side adds up to 9,750. This side adds up to 2,355. So I need to increase this side by a certain amount. And this is when my balance comes in. So first, balance carried down of 2,355. Okay, so this will be the balance that I start the next month with, so that I start April with. So I put it over here, 2001 April, the first balance brought down of 2,355. Okay, I did do that very fast because you guys should be okay with balancing. If you're not, you need to let me know because it's very important. Okay, then we move on to our debtors control. So our debtors control, we tell ourselves that it's an asset. So it increases on the debit side, decreases on the credit side. Now I check what happened with my debtors control. Okay, so obviously with selling goods, so remember with selling goods, we debited debtors control and credited sales. Okay, with getting goods back, so goods being returned or giving an allowance, we debited debtors allowance and credited debtors control. Okay, so we have to make sure that we put those entries in. The first things first, let me check about my balance. So debtors control, I've got a balance over here, so that's 500 Rand. So is it increasing or decreasing my debtors control? So that balance that was brought down was how much my debtors still owe me. Okay, so it's going to increase my debtors control account. So 2001 March the 1st balance brought down of 500 Rand. Okay, and now I can put these two transactions in. So when I sold goods on credit, where do I find that? I find that in my debtors journal. So I look, is it going to increase my debtors control or decrease it? So it's going to increase it because my debtors owe me. Okay, so on the 31st, because it has its own column, what is my contra account? We said it was sales. You can simply just look at the column. So it's sales. My journal came from my debtors journal, so DJ of 2,540. Okay. The other transaction that was involved is giving the debtors an allowance. So is this decreasing or increasing my debtors control? So because I'm giving my debtors an allowance, it decreases the amount that they owe to me. So it's going to decrease my debtors control. So on 2001 March 31st, because it has its own column, what's my contra account? Debtors allowance. I found that in the DAJ. And how much was that? It was 240. Okay, so now I check, I have to balance it. Okay, which side is more? I can already see that this side is more. So that will be 500 plus 2,540. So that gives me 3,040 Rand. Okay, how much to this side do I need to add? So on the 31st, my balance carried down will be 3,040 minus 240. So I need to add 2,800 to this side to make up that total. And then I know 2001 April the 1st, my balance brought down was 2,800. Okay, so my debtors still owe me 2,800. Okay, let's see what our next journal is. Okay, I'm simply going to do this to help us out. Okay, so my next journal is sales, and I'm in my nominal account section. Okay, so no more balancing. So my sales is an income, so it decreases on the credit, debit, and increases on the credit. Okay, so if I've got my total brought down, sales 15,200, is it increasing my sales account or decreasing my sales account? So it's increasing my sales account because it tells me how much income I have. So 2001 March the 1st, remember it's in the nominal account section, so it's total brought forward, and they said it was 15,200. Okay, so now I check what else happened with my sales account. So with my sales account, I made a sale on credit, and then remember that sale that I made on cash. So let's first do the credit one. So the 31st, because it's got its own account. My contra account, what was it? It was debtors control. Okay, because remember when I sell goods, what happens? I debit what? Debtors control, and I credit sales. So on the credit side of sales, my contra account is debtors control, and this I found in the DJ of 2,540 because I know my sales column was 2,540. Okay, then not to forget that with that cash sale, so let me remind you guys, remember half was done on cash, half was done on credit. So I still have to put this in because if I did have my CRJ, I would have my sales column. Okay, so on the 31st, because I would have had my sales column, bank, because it's a cash sale, CRJ, and it was 600 because it was only half. And then remember, because it's the nominal account section, that you just total. So that is 15,200 plus 2,540 plus 600, so that's 18,340. Okay, now let's move on to my cost of sales account. So cost of sales is an expense, okay, so it increases on the debit and decreases on the credit. Now let me check with my total brought down. Cost of sales 11,400. So on the debit side, 2001, March the 1st, total, because it's in the nominal account section, brought forward of 11,400. Now what happened with my cost of sales is I sold trading stock on credit, okay, trading stock was returned, and I also sold trading stock on cash. So there's 3 entries that I need to make. So let's start with my debtors journal. So on the 31st, because it has its own column, what's my contra account? So remember we put it in our trading stock account. So my contra account is is trading stock. Okay, found that in my DJ, and that was 1,905. All right, then I go to my debtors allowances journal. Is that increasing my cost of sales or decreasing my cost of sales? Okay, so because my cost of sales is an expense and the allowance is basically reversing that cost of sales transaction or that transaction, I'm going to decrease my cost of sales account because I don't owe that expense anymore. Okay, so it's basically reversing it. So 2001 March 31st, because it has its own column, my contra account is still trading stock. I get that from my DAJ, and that amount is 150 Rand. Okay. Okay, if we look at my trading stock account, this makes sense because on the debit side, I put my cost of sales DAJ 150, and on the credit side of my cost of sales, I put it again of 150. So there's my double entry. Okay. Then, is that all? No. So remember, if I had my CRJ, there would still be a cost of sales column where I sold trading stock for cash. So is that increasing cost of sales? Yes. So 31st, trading stock, CRJ, and what was it? So remember, with cost of sales, we use our cost price and not the selling price. So it would have been 450. Okay, then because it's a nominal account section, you just total both sides. So this side will be 11,400 plus. So this side will be 13,755, and this side will just be 150. Okay, now with my debtors allowances, it's an expense, so it increases on the debit, decreases on the credit. Okay, there's only one instance with debtors allowances, is from the debtors allowances journal. Okay, I first check, is there a total? Yes, so 900 Rand total was brought down, so I'll first put that in. So 2001, you guys can do your totals before you start the general journal. I'm just doing it to save time. And my amount was 900. Okay, then I look at my journal. So on the 31st, because it has its own column, what is my contra account? So remember, we debited debtors allowances, credited debtors control. So my contra account is debtors control. I found this in the DAJ, obviously, and then that is 240. And then we total that to give us 1,140. Okay, so that's my general ledger done. Obviously, with your CRJ and your CPJ, then more accounts will be added to your general ledger, and you also have to do those, so like bank and all those kind of things. Okay, but for now I'm just doing the new ones and the new entry so that you guys can understand. Okay, so now we go to our debtors ledger. Okay, so remember, with our debtors ledger is taking track of what each debtor does. Okay, at the end of the month, this debtors ledger gets sent to the debtor so that he can see how we got to the amount that we did that he still owes us. Okay, so the easiest thing that I like to do is just use your transactions and follow the highlighted, and this is where the highlighting comes in handy, because you can see exactly what M. Martino did. So the first things first is I take his balance from the previous month. So 2001 March the 1st, his balance from the previous month, because obviously if he's paying back that amount, then we have to decrease it. If he's increasing that amount, he still owes us that 300 Rand, so we still have to put that balance in. Okay, take note that this is debtors control. It's a debtor, so it increases on the debit, decreases on the credit. Now we can start. So the first thing M. Martino did is he bought goods. Okay, so on the 12th, invoice number BQ13, and does it increase the amount he owes us or decrease the amount he owes us? It increases the amount he owes us, and we take this at selling price, because if we buy goods, so if you go to Woolworths and you buy goods for 900 Rand, you owe Woolworths 900 Rand. You don't owe them the cost price, because we don't buy the goods at cost price. We buy the goods at selling price. So that's why M. Martino, his account increases by 900 Rand, because he owes us 900 Rand more. And that will give you 1,200 balance, because it increases the 300 by 900. Okay. Next thing he did is he returned good. Or he didn't return good, he was overcharged, and we gave him an allowance. So on the 15th, credit note C, and there's no credit note here, so I quickly check what was his credit note number. It was 13. So C13, does it decrease the amount he owes us or increase the amount he owes us? So remember, he was overcharged, so we gave him that amount of money back, so he doesn't owe us that 40 Rand anymore. So it decreases his account by 40 Rand, so then his account will be 1,160. Okay, then let's see, the last thing he did is we supplied him merchandise, so he paid half of it on cash, paid half of it on credit. The cash doesn't come in here because he doesn't owe us that money, so we don't have to keep track of it, because he doesn't owe us that money, he paid for it already. Okay, so we only do the credit invoice. So on the 24th, invoice number BQ14. Okay, it increases the amount he owes us because he bought the goods. Remember, it was half of it, so it's 600 Rand. And this increases it to 1,760. So I know that M. Martino owes us still 1,760 Rand. Okay, then O'Crevit. So first let's take his balance brought down from the previous month. So it told us already that he owed us 200 Rand from the previous month. Okay, then we start. So on the 5th, what happened is he bought goods on credit. So it was invoice number BQ12. It tells us that. Okay, does it increase or decrease the amount he owes us? It increases the amount he owes us. So that's 460. This is all given in that sentence. Okay. Then how much does he owe us now? So if it's 200 plus 460, so that means he owes us 660. Then on the 7th, he complained and returned the goods, so we gave him an allowance. So on the 7th, credit note C12, it decreased the amount he owes us because we gave him allowance, so 80 Rand allowance, which means we go 660 minus 80. That gives you 580. Okay. The next time that O'Crevit does something is on the 28th. Okay. It says an invoice was given, so invoice number BQ15. Okay, it increases the amount he owes us because he bought goods, so 580, and that increases our original balance to 1,160. Okay, on the 29th, he sent back goods, so that's a credit note. We can check what the credit note number is, and that's 14. So C14. Okay, it decreases his account that he owes us because he bought back goods that he ordered, so he doesn't owe us that money anymore. So that's 120. So 1160 minus 120. So that gives you 1,040. Okay, so I know that M. Martino owes me 1,760 and O'Crevit owes me 1,040. So the last thing I have to do is my debtors list. Okay, so your debtors list, remember, it's a list of your debtors and how much they owe you. Okay, so it's just another internal control measure. So M. Martino is my first debtor. Okay, how much does he owe us? So we can look here. At the end of the month, he owes us 1,760. Then O'Crevit, at the end of the month, he owes us 1,040. So now I know how much does my debtors owe me. I go 1,760 plus 1,040. So they owe me 2,800 altogether. Okay. You guys are instructed to do task 4.8 now, and please complete the reflection afterwards.